friends. Welcome into yet another edition of the Baseline Jumper podcast. My name is Jason Goldstein. On the line with me right now is a man who drove all the way to Cape Cod thinking he would find the Celtics there, but instead he just finds some rest and relaxation. Ben, why are you here today? You're on vacation.
It's just how much I love doing the show with you, Jason. You're the peanut butter to my jelly. You're the soy sauce to my rice. You're the Jason to my Tatum. What can I say? You complete me, Jason, and I'm just so thrilled to be able to do this on vacation. I'm feeling great. Had a little beach time today, so I'm feeling extra motivated.
Yeah, you're looking a little tan, a little sun-kissed. How far is Cape Cod from Boston, by the way?
Ooh, from Boston, it's like the edge of Cape Cod's probably like an hour, something like that. But it depends. We're out in the east part, so but we're liking it. It's nice. It's nice to get to the beach. Pittsburgh, very lacking in ocean beaches, turns out. Little known fact. So yeah, we're happy to be here. Have a little time off and relax. But while I've been here, Jason, I don't know if you know this, the playoffs started yesterday. We're recording this on Tuesday evening for those of you listening out there. So, we're not going to have the latest on the Lakers Blazers, where right now the Rockets are finishing off a Game 1 victory over the Thunder. But, Jason, the playoffs started yesterday. We got some good games. We got some blowouts. Sorry to your nuts. What is your reaction off the top? Like, what was your first reactions of the playoffs starting besides, maybe the utmost excitement?
Well, I think to start, we need to backtrack because Thursday was one of the more compelling NBA game days in recent memory where there were 4 teams in the Western Conference for 2 spots. We talked about this with Jason Cordner last week. It was the Portland Trailblazers, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Phoenix Suns, and the San Antonio Spurs. And by Thursday night, the Spurs were eliminated and all eyes were on the Nets-Blazers game to see if Brooklyn could knock Portland out of the play-in game, giving the Suns a chance to play the Grizzlies for the right to be the 8th seed. And Karis LeVert damn near well did it. And it took a colossal effort from Damian Lillard and company, CJ McCollum playing with a fractured back, which is why I want to start with the series that the only Game 1 hasn't been played as of this recording. But the West play-in scenario, right? I know it was created because of the NBA restart. They're down in a bubble after 4.5 months off. I just have to raise the question. I mean, do you think this should become a permanent fixture? You saw the Suns, the Phoenix Suns, who were in 13th place in the West, go 8-0 during the restart and almost make the play-in game. You saw the Spurs exceed expectations. You saw the Grizzlies, albeit injured, they still put up a fight. They got into the playoff game. They lost to Portland. But I feel like this is something that could work because you said last week, next season, all 15 teams in the West think they're going to have a chance. So my question to you is, do you think that there could be some permanence here when it comes to the play-ins?
I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit of the different permutations. I think what I would like to see them do is maybe have a mid-season tournament. Have a mid-season tournament where you're bracketed based on record across maybe across the league, maybe across the conference. And those teams play. Maybe the 1 seed gets a bye in the first round, which is worth a victory. And then obviously the further into the tournament you play, the more games you get to play. And as a result of that, you get more wins and games in the standings, which ultimately enhances your ability to move up the playoff ladder. And then I sort of like that too towards the end. I kind of like almost the idea of it being like one of the college basketball tournaments where it gives you the ability to kind of improve your resume while also getting you an automatic bid. So basically at the end, maybe each conference has something like a play-in tournament where, the team that wins gets an automatic playoff spot. So if one of the lower seeded teams wins, they get in. For the other teams, each win counts towards their seeding. So for instance, the Lakers, they might not have as much to play for, so they might start resting guys towards the end. But some of those other teams might try to move up because if they get an extra few wins out of that tournament, they can move up. So I'd like to see something like that. I don't know if I want to have just the playing game for 8th and 9th, just because I think as much as it'll add, it'll take away in terms of getting teams to devalue middle season games more. The end will get a little bit more exciting. I would be inclined to almost let it become 7 to 10, I guess it would be. Kind of have those last 2 spots go. So maybe open it up, but first have those tournaments. So all of a sudden, there's a lot more teams involved, and there's a real enhanced desire to play. So I would do some stuff like that to make it more interesting. And also, rewarding the 1 seeds by giving them those extra wins for free, but also kind of getting some there and make it a little bit more exciting. So I think something like that would be fun.
That's interesting. I don't know. I don't agree with the midseason because they already have so much to play for, and there's going to be so much jockeying for positions, especially in the West, that I think it should come down to, the last few games, especially with, the way college is right now. We don't know how the NBA draft's going to go. We don't know how these prospects are going to look. I think we're going to see a lot of kids going overseas just to get that 1 year of professional basketball under their belts before they're draft eligible. This is a new world we're living in with the pandemic, with everything going on, that we don't know when college sports will be the same. The NBA has proven that it can still exist as a league and play games, and 0 positive tests for the 3rd or 4th week running. So the bubble works. But the question is college, right? You can't put all of the NCAA in a bubble. So I think going forward, there'll be less incentive to tank. And the Phoenix Suns are living proof of you just go, you play the games, and look what happens. I mean, this also, I think, saved Devin Booker's career in Phoenix. But we'll save that for another day because we want to talk about some current playoff basketball. So what I think we're going to do is just briefly touch on each series. And Ben, I know we talked before the show about lightning round predictions, but I think all 8 series have storylines right now. So we'll just cover each series briefly and give our predictions as we go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think a good place to start would be the team you just mentioned, the Portland Trailblazers, who made it in, Jason, because they're on fire. And their leading scorer, and one of the leading scorers in the league, leading scorer of the bubble, I believe, is Damian Lillard, who carried the Blazers really through this kind of these bubble games. And now they find themselves as the 8th seed against a pretty heavily favored Lakers team. But, Jason, I just looked this up yesterday. As of Monday, August 17th, the Blazers were only minus 450. So for the non-gambling folks, that means they're 4.5. Basically, that you if you put in $100, you win $450, which is actually very low compared to some of the other odds, Jason. And it does make me think Vegas kind of believes in this Blazers team, because the Lakers are what are called a public team. So for those of you who don't know what that means a lot of money comes onto the Lakers. So the odds tend to be actually inflated for the Lakers because they want all that money to basically come out at worse odds than normal. So the fact that it's only 450 means that probably if this was not the Lakers, it'd be closer to 350. So 3-1, 3.5-1 type odds. So, I mean, Jason, clearly Vegas believes in the Blazers a little bit because of those odds. We can kind of see that. What do you think?
Damian Lillard on Thursday against the Nets shot it from the half-court logo, just brought the ball up, pulled up, swoosh. This man is probably playing the best basketball out of anyone in the league right now, anyone that went down to Orlando. And I remember in the days leading up to teams traveling down there, Dame said, we're here to make the playoffs, nothing else. They are not your prototypical 8th seed. Everybody knows that. The layoff gave Carmelo Anthony time to get in shape, refine his game, looks great at the 3. I mean, CJ McCollum, I said this earlier, is playing with a fracture in his back. Nurkic looks great. Gary Trent Jr. looks great. Hassan Whiteside playing against some of the smaller teams on their schedule. I mean, he looks the part backing up Nurkic. They have a complete team. And I'm going to cut right to the chase. The Blazers will upset the Lakers. You heard it here first on Baseline Jumper. I'm taking Portland in 7, and I'm going to give you my reasons why. LeBron and the Lakers do not have home court. They do not have the lights of LA. They do not have that home cooking. So take the home court advantage out for all these series we're about to cover. Take it out. It's gone. The fact that LeBron James is 35 years old and his supporting cast took a massive hit after the Lakers' depth was questioned while they waited out the Kawhi Leonard scenario. They filled out their roster with B and C level free agents. Losing Avery Bradley is tough. You saw them struggle defensively in the 8 seeding games. Rajon Rondo working his way back from the thumb injury that occurred at the start of the bubble. He can't shoot threes to save his life. So what do the Lakers have? They don't have momentum on their side. That's all with Portland. The Lakers sleptwalked through all of their 8 games. And I don't think they have it. Anthony Davis has played in 3 playoff series in 8 years, winning 1 of them. This is going to be a huge test. And if the Lakers do win, it is going to take a massive output from AD. I don't see the surrounding pieces doing well. I mean, Caruso's a fine player. Danny Green, you got the big men, McGee, Dwight Howard. It's not enough to contend with the way Portland's playing. This should be a 1-4 semifinals matchup if the Blazers were at full strength this season. So I'm saying it, Blazers in 7, take it to the bank. The Lakers lose in the first round.
I mean, you asked the rhetorical question of, what do the Lakers have? They have LeBron James, Jason. And what the Portland Trail Blazers do not have, as they demonstrated against your beloved Nets, is anyone who can guard a wing player. This series, if LeBron cannot take over this series, there's going to be talk of him being a little bit washed because there's no one on this Blazers team who can competently guard him. It'll probably be Carmelo Anthony, who is, to say the least, not exactly an elite defender. So they really have no one who can guard LeBron, no one who can guard Davis. For me, I think Dame is going to have some heroics in the series, and I think that he's going to be able to put up some numbers, but I'm going to go with the Lakers. I think there's just too much talent there. I have the Lakers winning at 6, and the fact that I had to push it to 6 games, to me, is already a testament. There's not many 1/8s even go to 6 games. So I've got the Lakers in 6. You've got the Blazers taking down the Lakers, which
Momentum's big in this bubble, man. There's, aside from the couple hundred virtual fans, there's no home court. And the Lakers look sluggish. I hope they kick it into another gear. I mean, as we're recording, they're warming up, getting ready to take the court. We'll see. I mean, by the time we're done recording, the first quarter might be over. But, man, Portland's got everything right now on their side. And it's scary. And if you're the Lakers, you have to be sprechen sie shooketh, seeing what the Blazers did in order to get into the playing game, handled Memphis with ease, albeit the Grizzlies were not at full strength. And what LeBron did in his early years in Cleveland, this is what Dame's doing now. They got to the conference finals, without Nurkic. They got him back. They have a very motivated Carmelo Anthony. I mean, they just have the it factor. And the Lakers did not want the Blazers to get into that playing game. I mean, everyone outside of Portland was a Nets fan on Thursday night. And that shot by Karis LeVert that would have sent them home, had that gone down, I'd be singing a completely different tune. Lakers sweep either Phoenix or Memphis, probably would have been Phoenix. But, dude, you cannot ignore what Portland's doing.
Well, I won't talk more about Phoenix, but, I mean, you're right. It's going to be a heck of a series. I still have the Lakers going. I just think the talent's too much. But let's kind of switch gears here and go to the other LA team because they actually have already played Game 1. And, Jason, a lot happened in Game 1. I was watching live, and one of my pet peeves so far in the bubble games, now into the playoffs, has been a lot of the refs, because of this new rule of respecting the game and so on, they blow a call, frankly. The players get upset, and then the players get a technical, which is tough. I mean, it's tough. It's part of the game. It happens. You can't really complain. It's in the rule book. It's cut and dry. There's nothing to be said. But it can be frustrating because when a ref blows a call and then the player gets a tech on top of it, it kind of doubles down. It adds insult to injury. Now, what made it even worse was on Monday night's game, Kristaps Porzingis had basically 2 technical fouls, both of which were due to some questionable things. The first one, as I mentioned, bad call. He cleanly blocks a layup. They call the foul. He gets upset. Tech him up. Next one, he comes in to defend Luka, shoves Morris, who